we have a Survivor Series Men's War Games Advantage Tag Team match. It's the semi-finals of the WWE World Cup, and we find out the fifth member for Team Belair in the Survivor Series War Games Women's match. Hey guys, how you all doing? The Wrestling Guy back here today, and welcome to another episode of SmackDown Breakdown, the series where we have a look at everything that's happened on this week's episode of SmackDown, talk about the matches, talk about the promos, all of the other bits and pieces that happened on this week's show. We're going to break it all down for you guys in this episode. It is the last SmackDown before Survivor Series War Games this weekend, which is looking to be a really good show. If you guys do want to enjoy the video, hit the thumbs up button and subscribe. Let me know down below in the comment section, are you guys excited for Survivor Series War Games? I know I am. Chairman of the board is. It's going to be great. We're going to be covering all of it here on the channel, so do turn on that notification bell so you don't miss any of the content coming up on the channel. Without further ado, let's have a look at what's happened on this week's episode of SmackDown. So we would kick things off with the man, Becky Lynch is back. Big time Bex has returned. She joins Team Bianca Belair for the Women's War Games match this weekend. That gets a humongous thumbs up by the Wrestling Guy. This is absolutely fantastic. It's exactly what we needed. She is the best option, in my opinion, here for the last member of the team. I was originally going to say maybe Raquel Rodriguez would have been selected. I think that would have been a really good choice as well. There were a couple of other names that were thrown in there. Candice LeRae was a popular one for a lot of people. Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks is always a big one, but Becky Lynch I think is 100% the right decision, and she got an absolutely enormous pop here for her return. Well deserved as well. I am a big fan of big time Becky Lynch. I always have been a fan of Becky Lynch right from the beginning, and it's just so great to see her back. Really looking forward to seeing what she can do in this match. I think she has potential to really kind of step her game up in this match and really kind of be one of the MVPs of the match. My favourite part about this whole promo though was the bit where Becky Lynch was stood in the ring and Rhea Ripley was in the ring as well, and they were having a face-off. This is potentially setting up for a brief little rivalry between Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch, which I would not say no to. Absolutely brilliant. That looks absolutely fantastic if they do that in sometime early 2023. I think that would do really good. Interesting to see if we see a bit more about this unfold in the War Games match this weekend. But yeah, we'll keep an eye out. A cracking way to kick things off at SmackDown. Becky Lynch is the fifth and final member for the Women's War Games match. It's going to be brilliant. Really looking forward to seeing what happens. And we'll talk about it more in our review video after the show. So coming up next, we had our first match of the evening. It is a SmackDown World Cup semi-final match between Butch of the Brawling Brutes and Santos Escobar. Now this match was really good. On paper I was really looking forward to seeing kind of what these two could do, because the potential that they could put up a really good match was definitely there. And this match was great as well. It was hard hitting. There was some good kind of aerial assaults. Butch a lot more of kind of the aerial kind of a superstar. Santos Escobar, obviously more of a technical ground wrestler. I'm a huge fan of Santos Escobar. I think he's really good. He does a fantastic job. And obviously, unfortunately for Butch, the Bloodline would attack Drew McIntyre backstage. It would appear on the Titantron that Drew McIntyre was being attacked by the Bloodline, and Sheamus and Ridge Holland, who were with Butch, would then obviously go backstage to go and check on Drew. Drew is obviously their partner in the Men's War Games match this weekend. Without this backup, unfortunately, Butch was all on his own. They had Joaquin Wilde, Del Toro and Zelina Vega out there. It was 4 against 1. They provided distraction. Escobar delivered his absolutely fantastic Phantom Driver to get the win. So Santos Escobar advances to the finals, and I think that this was the right move. Out of the two, it's really difficult to kind of pick which one you'd want to see go through to the finals. Butch has kind of got his storyline with the Brawling Brutes at the moment going on. Santos Escobar, who's kind of not really got a lot going on himself. The Hit Row, the rivalry of Hit Row and the Legado del Fantasma's kind of started to die down a little bit. So putting Santos Escobar in the final was a really good fit. So yeah, that was a big thing. Thumbs up from me. Now, what I liked about this is it was the first kind of episode of SmackDown that we've seen for a little while where the interference didn't take away from the match too much. Butch obviously had some great spots in this match. He dealt with the interference really well. That huge moonsault he hit on Del Toro and Wilde was really, really good. And it kind of does beg that question of if we were to see a Santos Escobar Butch match in the future and Sheamus and Rich Holland were there or none of them were at ringside, would the outcome be a bit different? But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, Santos Escobar through to the finals of the WWE World Cup. So yeah, really good start on there. Coming up next, we had a promo from Bray Wyatt. Now, last week on SmackDown, we would see obviously LA Knight be mysteriously attacked after slapping Bray Wyatt in the face twice. Now, Bray Wyatt would come down to the ring because he wanted to address the universe regarding this whole situation. He claimed he was not the man who attacked LA Knight and was talking about how the fans were desired to see the monstrous side of him. A video package from Uncle Howdy aired, this time calling Bray Wyatt a liar and warning fans not to throw their trust behind him. This is really, really good. This was a very interesting promo. It did wonders for the storyline. I think this is it was the first time really that we've kind of seen Wyatt conflict with the fans. Since Bray Wyatt's return, he's been trying to be very open, very honest with the fans about him and himself. It is possible that this version of Wyatt that we have seen since his return is not really who he actually is. Could he be luring the fans and kind of his opponents into almost a false sense of security? Could he be? Could it be that Bray Wyatt is trying to almost soften the fans up so that he can almost get his way, get what he wants from them and from the WWE SmackDown locker room? So we'll see. But yeah, this promo is really, really good. And yeah, there was some really good spots in there. Our next match of the evening, it was Hit Row versus the Viking Raiders. So 2 weeks ago, when the Viking Raiders returned, they were sending a message to the rest of the tag team division. They came down to the ring with Sarah Logan. All three of them look absolutely fantastic. Really, really good job on there. Sarah Logan is now called Valhalla as well, which is a really good name. And they would end up having a tag team match here against the Hit Row. This was a great showcase for the Viking Raiders. They almost look, every time you see them, they look more dominant and more imposing than they did the last time you saw them, which is very hard to kind of see from a team like Viking Raiders, who are so dominant and so good in the ring. The Raiders, just their entrance alone, it just screams that they are a tag team of the future. They're contenders for the Usos for the tag titles. I wouldn't mind seeing the Viking Raiders go after the tag titles. This new revamp, this new change in the characters that they've gone for, I really hope that Triple H kind of picks up the ball and runs with this, because there's a lot of potential here with the Viking Raiders. The Viking Raiders went up defeating Hit Row to pick up the victory here, which gives them a little bit of momentum going forward. And I'm really excited to see what we see from Hit Row and Viking Raiders going forward. What does this mean going forward? Obviously, you have got Legado del Fantasma. It's kind of a bit of a three-way spiral at the moment, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's all really good on here. So not a bad start to SmackDown so far, and it gets even better, because coming up next we had a SmackDown World Cup semi-final match. It was Ricochet versus Braun Strowman. Now, Santos Escobar would win the first semi-finals match earlier on in the night, so we know Santos Escobar is through to the final. So it was either going to be Ricochet or Braun Strowman. So, as you would expect in this match, it was very David and Goliath type atmosphere. Strowman manhandling Ricochet for the majority of the match. Ricochet using his speed and agility to try and counter the Monster among Monsters. But the match never really got underway properly, because we would see an interference from the Intercontinental Champion, Gunther, and Imperium teammates Ludwig, Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci. Imperium would come down to the ring, they would interfere, cause a distraction. This would allow Ricochet to capitalise and score an upset win, meaning it is going to be Ricochet and Santos Escobar in the finals of the World Cup. Lucha Underground revamp here, Prince Puma versus King Cuerno. Yes, really, really good on there. All Lucha Underground fans there, you'll know what I mean. Really, really good stuff on there. So like going back to the match, Imperium would attack Strowman after the match. Ricochet would actually help Strowman, maybe setting up potentially for Imperium versus Strowman and Ricochet on an episode of SmackDown. We'll see. We'll see what happens in the future. This wasn't necessarily a bad match. Now, I know we've said a couple of times on these breakdown videos that interference finishes tend to kind of be quite prominent in WWE at the moment, and I think that this was an example where it worked in their favour quite well. It played into the storyline quite well. We've seen the rivalry almost between Strowman and Gunther build up over the coming weeks, and you almost would expect this to happen. But however, it is the second match in this tournament that has been defined by outside influence, and it's kind of like it kind of makes you think: Are these guys going to be deserved of winning the tournament if they can pick up a fluke win? But let's hope the finals is just an opportunity for Ricochet and Santos Escobar to have a match and for the best man to win. So yeah, we'll see on there. Coming up next, we had a backstage segment from Sami Zayn. He stopped Kevin Owens from entering the Bloodline's locker room. Owens claimed to have come to his friend's aid when he put his foot in his mouth and says something stupid, but he will not be there to protect him next time. Jey Uso poked his head out of the locker room and heard the entire exchange, asked Sami Zayn if he had talked to anyone since arriving. The honorary Uso lied and claimed he had not. So, is this the beginning of the dissension of Sami Zayn in the Bloodline? Will he be aligning with Kevin Owens after all? We will come on to that a little bit later on. Because coming up next, we had Shotzi and Raquel Rodriguez versus Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. So we all know Shotzi will challenge Ronda Rousey for the SmackDown Women's title this weekend at Survivor Series War Games. And this was going to be a huge tag match that we were obviously expecting to see. The baddest woman on the planet and her partner, the submission magician Shayna Baszler, would be going up against Raquel Rodriguez and Shotzi. This was until a backstage attack on Rodriguez left her with a broken arm. Now Shotzi, the absolute ballsy badass that she is, she would go down to the ring, she would fight her rivals on her own. It'd be a 2-on-1 handicap match. Obviously, Shayna and Ronda, probably one of the most dangerous women's tag teams in the whole of wrestling, dominated the whole of the match. But then Raquel Rodriguez would come down to the ring, nursing her injury. This is kind of... It was okay. I mean... But Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler played the heels in this match really well. They did an absolutely fantastic job with that. Shotzi, she was kind of playing that ultimate underdog type character, get the fans behind her, get the fans into her before the match this weekend. But it's just kind of, I'm not sure how I feel about this Shotzi and Ronda match now after watching this. I think that this is probably the biggest mistake that Triple H has made since he's come in, is what he's doing with these 4 women at the moment. Don't get me wrong, Shotzi and Ronda, absolutely brilliant. Really looking forward to that match at Survivor Series War Games, but I'm just not sure why they're going with this. Like, they're playing on Raquel Rodriguez now having an arm injury. Shayna Baszler just seems to be kind of Ronda Rousey's kind of lackey at the moment. She's kind of just there to just soften people up so Ronda Rousey can just get an easy win on a pay-per-view. We'll see what happens with this going forward. The match at Survivor Series should answer a couple of questions, so we'll keep our eyes open for that and see what happens. But yeah, this didn't really get a huge thumbs up from me on here, but we'll see. we'll see what happens. Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler would end up picking the victory. And it's kind of, it's like I said, it's not made shots to look good going into the match this weekend. But yeah, we'll see. I may be wrong, but we'll see what happens this weekend, the Survivor Series. And the main event of the evening would be Sheamus and Drew McIntyre versus the Usos to see who would get the number advantage in War Games. So we all know that the Bloodline will face against Brawling Brutes, Drew McIntyre and Kevin Owens at Survivor Series War Games. This match was ultimately the best match of the night. It was a physical encounter. We saw chests get reddened. We saw bodies battered. Ringside brawls between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Absolutely fantastic. The referee would end up ejecting Sami Zayn from ringside. Owens would drop Jey Uso with a stunner, and Sheamus picked up the pinfall victory, meaning the Brawling Brutes will go into War Games this weekend with the man advantage. Now, this was predictable. Damage Control, the heel women's team, going with the advantage for their team. So the face men's team, it makes sense. It was all good. The match was good, as you would expect, for really, really top guys in the company at the minute. Interferences, they were there, which kind of niggled me a little bit, but it all played into the story. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, the stuff that they're doing at the minute is really, really interesting. Some highlights of the match though: Sheamus would batter Jey Uso's chest with the 17 beats of the Bodhrán. Jey would deliver a splash that resulted in a very close near fall. I actually thought the Uso may win the match at that point. Like I said, there'd be some brawls outside. The Brawling Brutes would brawl with Solo Sikoa, Sami Zayn. Drew McIntyre would get involved when he wasn't legal. But the highlight of the match for me, and what I really want to home in here, is Sami Zayn teasing the SmackDown tag titles, teased using the SmackDown tag titles, but Owens would stop him. Their back and forth led to the Honorary Usos dropping the title and being ejected from ringside. Is this setting up for a potential kind of teaser here of Owens and Sami Zayn aligning? It has been rumoured for a little bit. It'd be very interesting if it is. I just hope that if that is the case, that it kind of happens in the right way, and we kind of see a gradual development, gradual growth going forward, and we don't see Sami Zayn turning on the Bloodline. Kevin Owens is going to be aligning with him, and they're going to go after the Usos probably towards WrestleMania sort of time, and they're going to be the ones that dethrone the Usos. I don't know, a bit of long-term prediction there by the Wrestling Guy fantasy booking for 2023. But yeah, we'll see what happens on there. But that's this week's episode of SmackDown Broken Down for you guys. If you guys did enjoy, hit the thumbs up button and subscribe. Really, really hope you guys enjoy Survivor Series War Games this weekend. It has potential to be a fantastic premium live event. So really hope you guys enjoy it. The chairman of the board will be dropping his Raw reaction as always early next week. And we'll also be doing our Survivor Series War Games review as well. So do keep an eye out for that one. Hit the thumbs up button, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.